But wakeupamerica.net, I think it is. Wakeupamerica.net. His first book, Wake Up America, and his second book, The Next Nightmare. Right? Next Nightmare being the fusion of the multiculturalist blend of the left with the Islamic jihadis, and there we go. And we're watching more and more and more. I'm seeing very serious analysts that are saying if Egypt falls to the Salafists, to the Muslim Brotherhood, if in the Greek language, and I'm able to translate New Testament Greek, Koine Greek. If can be translated and should be translated since. Since, it's a definite word. Since the Muslim Brotherhood will win next Saturday, the 22nd, then we have an axis, a Sunni axis, that is the first significant stage of a global caliphate, and that will include at the south of Israel, Egypt, 80 million people with American armament. Then going up to the northeast, we have that strip of land, the Gaza Strip, which is now Palestine, Sunni Muslims in the Hamas. Then we go to the north, and we have an interesting little situation there. We have Hezbollah Army of God. We have Hezbollah running the nation of Lebanon. They're Shia, but they're forming an alliance in this axis with the Sunnis around Israel. Then we go to the right a little bit to the east there. And what country is that? That's unraveling as we speak.
Jordan.
Well, it's a little further. We're coming down to them. We got Syria right over there, northeast corner, northeast part of Israel, and they are going to fall to the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood and Al Qaeda are going to take that place over. Let me finish my circle, Mark.
Oh, okay. I'll give you a cue. That's why.
Oh, what? Go ahead.
No, when I do that, I'm just saying when you get.
Oh, okay. And then we come down on the right-hand side, and we have Jordan. What's happening to Jordan?
Exactly.
Bye-bye, Jordan. Who's taking it over? The Brotherhood. A gigantic circle around Israel. And Carolyn Glick wrote an unbelievable piece today and said, thank you, President Obama, and all the idiots that voted for him for putting Israel right in the crosshairs of the Sunni caliphate that is intent on its destruction.
Exactly.
And why is it that you think that, why would a president who is a, quote, anti-colonialist support Islamic imperialism all over the Middle East and all over the world? Maybe you can
Great
answer
question.
that.
Alan Bergstein, our resident expert on all things Jewish.
Well, why he is supporting them in their imperialistic growth is because he believes in it. Remember, his middle name is Hussein, his first name is Barack, his last name is Obama. These are not Arabic names, these are Muslim names. He was born to a Muslim father. He was raised basically in Indonesia, where he went to a school. In the Nicholas Kristof radio show in 2008, he by heart gave an Islamic verse in pure Arabic and said it was the most beautiful music he's ever heard. This is on your computer. Go to your computer, Nicholas Kristof, Kristoff, radio show Barack Obama. The man speaks.
Let's find that. We'll
the man speaks. He speaks.
We can pull those things up here.
He speaks Arabic. He was raised with the Quran. He knew it by heart. Here is a man people ignore. You know, in Yiddish there's a term, nicht wissendig, which means willfully not knowing. The American voter willfully puts aside the fact that he was Muslim, that he went to a church, United Trinity Church of Chicago, in, of course, Chicago with Reverend Wright. Louis Farrakhan was his good friend, Rashid Khalidi. William Ayers is his buddy. We ignore this. Before it's too late, we have to wake up, but basically it's too late already because he just won an election and he feels that he won a plebiscite. And
plebiscite? What the heck's a plebiscite?
I have no idea, but it sounded good.
It sounds so Nazi.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like an illness. I was diagnosed with plebiscitis.
I get plebiscitis.
Yeah, but nevertheless, the man is supportive of the Muslim Brotherhood. He supported the overthrow of Gaddafi with arms. He initiated.
That's CJ's point. I mean, he's getting involved in colonialism, but in a reverse sort of way. How could he if he is functionally and de facto opposed to colonialism, and he's an anti-colonialist?
Well, he's not only an anti-colonialist, he's a hypocrite. Basically, his hypocrisy says, listen to what I say, don't worry about what I do.
Is he stumbling around in foreign policy and making mistakes and going, oops?
Oh, no. Look who he's putting in as Secretary of State, John Kerry. A person who, during the Vietnam War, said that our troops were basically criminals. Here is a man who has no faith or love in this country. And Israel should be, I hate to say it, they should be defecating in their pants now because the noose is being tightened around their neck, and it's inextricable.
Carolyn Glick also, and for those of you listening at 4:15 on TrentoVision.tv and WNN 1470, Carolyn Glick is a Israeli American. She goes back and forth, all of that. I think she lives in the States now. Educated in Columbia and Harvard, and worked for Netanyahu, was in the IDF, then worked as an advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu in his first time as the Prime Minister, and worked in the area of intelligence and public affairs, and now works with Frank Gaffney at Center for Security Policy, writes Page One, I think it is, or Opinion One, and Column One in the J-Post, Jerusalem Post. She made the point today, what you're saying, that this president isn't like stumbling around reconstructing the world. He is de facto, definitively creating a world that's hostile to Israel. Look who the Secretary of Defense is going to be. Chuck Hagel. Chuck Hagel. Nebraska, I think. Senator Hagel can't stand Israel. I mean, we got two people, State Department and Secretary of Defense, that are anti-Israel.
Do you remember George Mitchell?
Sure, yeah.
He was anti-Israel.
Yeah.
He was the envoy.
He's the envoy. But my concern is that Israel right now, in fact, I wrote a piece for BizPac Review, BIZPAC Review.com. I'd like you people to go out and read it. I proposed in that article, and I was vitriolically attacked by pro-Islamists. I said Israel should call for the unconditional surrender of the Palestinians. In the next war, which could occur within a week or two or a month, when they're attacked by Gaza.
Let me get this straight. You wrote an article.
Yeah, for BizPac Review.
We promote BizPac Review here. It's a great local blog that has a lot of traffic, and you're one of the writers.
Yeah.
You wrote an article. What made you? Where do you get your writing?
Your mojo. Your
mojo. Your inspiration.
From my guts.
But are you having coffee and something hit you?
It's from my guts. I mean,
Where did this story come from? This is a pretty controversial story.
What?
Yeah, give us the background as to where you said, I'm going to write about this subject.
Well, I see that Israel, no matter what it does, it's vilified and attacked by the United States. Okay. You had the Goldstone Report, which the United Nations accepted. And you have Jews in this country, J Street, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's group, and Americans for Peace Now, Bruce Warshaw's group, attack Israel. If Israel is attacked by rockets coming in, like the V-1 rockets, they're uncontrolled, they have no ballistic course, they'll kill people. If Israel retaliates, they are the bad people. So Israel cannot even defend itself without being attacked for killing people indiscriminately, which they don't do. They throw out leaflets and they say...
All right, that's the background.
That's the background.
But what stimulated you to write this specific article?
Frustration in not seeing that in
Were you sitting at your desk? Or were you on the beach? Were you walking? I mean, what were you doing?
It could be in my sleep. I dream about it.
In this case, this specific case, remember what brought you to it?
Yeah, that Israel cannot win.
All right. So you said Israel cannot win.
So
you sat down with a pen or on the typewriter?
On a computer.
Okay.
Microsoft Word.
Okay.
I said Israel has got to say to the world, screw you. Since we can't win no matter what we do.
Which is what Carolyn Glick wrote in her article today.
We have to take the initiative ourselves. And Israel has got to do what the United States did and what Britain did in World War II. We called upon the Germans, the attackers, the ones who initiated World War II. They said, we are going to impose unconditional surrender on you. The war will end not with a peace agreement, with sitting down to negotiation, arbitration, give and take. The war, World War II will end only when you unconditionally surrender to us by laying down your arms and by giving in completely to us. We will take control. That's how we won World War II. I say Israel, the only way Israel could win is if in the next war, which would be initiated by either Hezbollah, by the Palestinian Front for Liberation of Palestine, or by the Gazans, Hamas, Israel has got to say, we're going into this war now, and it will only end with complete surrender, turning over all of your arms, and by basically removing all weaponry from you. Total unconditional surrender. No sitting down with an arbitrator giving you land for peace. This is over. We are not going to we're not going to have an armistice to give you time to rearm. We are going to just impose total, complete destruction of your military prowess and capability.
You used an interesting illustration in the article. I read the article. It was fascinating, and called you to come in, obviously. But you said, can you imagine in World War II if in the run-up to the end, use that same illustration. What did you say about
I said what we could have done before hundreds of thousands of innocent people in Dresden and Nuremberg were killed. We could have said, Hitler, take Denmark and take Holland. Keep them as your provinces, and let's sit down and have peace. We'll give you a gift, basically, for ending the war. We could have said to Japan, rather than dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and killing hundreds of thousands of people, keep Korea. Keep it as your war gift, and let's have peace. We didn't say that. We said, no way are we going to give you anything. We're not going to appease you in any way for peace. Your peace will only be arranged when you sit down and completely surrender to us and give up all of your arms. And if you remember, well, you weren't alive then, in 1945, we completely de-armed Germany and we de-armed Japan. The only way Israel could win is to de-arm all of the radical Islamists, maybe even one at a time. Other than that, they'll go through this cycle of war. We'll have a recess for rearming and then war again.
All right, so that was your article. Mark C.J., have you guys read the article, his article?
No.
No, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on his thesis?
Well, it's spot on, because these people, when I'm saying these people, I'm talking about the Muslim Brotherhood and whatnot, had nearly the identical ideology as the Shinto government, the Nazi party, as far as their martyrdom ideology, as far as killing, annihilating people on the face of the earth. They're not going to stop. They want to kill you. I mean, that's the only thing that they understand, is they want to kill you, and they have a pathological hatred of Jews. And until that pathology is removed, like you had to remove Hitler, you're not going to modify Hitler's viewpoint. You're not going to modify a kamikaze fighter's viewpoint. You have to get rid of that system and impose a new system. Come in there, like MacArthur did, came in and put a MacArthur-style government in Japan. You cannot. This problem is not a part of weapons or land. This is a problem of ideology at its very core essence inside the communities, where they don't even teach Israel has a right to exist on a map. Their Hamas charter says Israel will exist and continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it. The Muslim Brotherhood motto, martyrdom is our goal, jihad is our way. Dying in the name of Allah is our highest goal. I mean, what don't you understand about that?
CJ, what are your thoughts on Alan's provocative?
Well, I think so many
article?
people do understand it, and I think they concur with it, and I think...
Where are they?
No, I think they concur with the anti-Semitic sentiments.
Oh, yes, okay.
I think they agree with it. I think their thoughts are being echoed, and they can be socially acceptable and silent about it.
Similar that happened, before World War II with Henry Ford and the Protocols of Zion and all the. I mean, you look at these parallels. I mean, they're so
scary.
It's like, oh my God, what year is this? 2012 or 1930?
Henry Ford and Father Coughlin fell by the wayside. They were overwhelmed. Now, United Nations on 42nd Street and First Avenue, they have a display in the lobby when you walk in. There's a Palestinian display on the wall, a mural, which shows Palestine from the Mediterranean to the Jordan River. And this is the United Nations.
One of the other points that Carolyn made today in her article was that the Palestinians have wanted a state since the 70s, right? And they always were rebuffed at the United Nations because the United States said, if you guys vote that way, guess what? We're withholding funding from the United Nations. So there was always a threat of withholding funding. President Bush did it. He said, if anybody votes that way, we're pulling our money out of this thing, and you people can go screw yourselves.
Yeah.
And President Obama did not do that, and she said, what more do you need? He had the moment to stop this nonsense. He did not do it, and she went on and on and on. But Alan, Suzanne says, Seazen, yesterday in response to your article, wow, if there ever was a piece that resonates with the spirit of the season, this is it. Celebration of the use of murderous force to impose one's will and demands on the weak is something we can all share during the holidays. And then, let's see, Dave said, wow, this is yesterday in response to your column, wow, pure evil and disturbingly sick-minded. Alan, you cannot be serious and have that much hate in you where you believe that killing people instead of negotiating is a better plan for peace. What a time for this article. They go on to criticize you for saying this article is not freedom of speech or opinion because you specifically call for killing Palestinians as part of the Hanukkah holiday.
Well, you know,
how do you defend yourself?
How I defend myself? Well, I know now that I'm not speaking German as my main language. I would be a lamp now if we had sat down. If we had sat down, a lampshade. Had we sat down with Hitler to negotiate the end of World War II, we would now be Nazi America. We have to realize that these people want nothing more than the destruction of Israel. You had Mahmoud Abbas, who is a great disciple of Yasser Arafat. He wears a suit. He doesn't wear a military uniform. He has called for the complete destruction of Israel. What is it that people just don't understand? Why can't they understand?
I'm going to have to correct you.
Yes. This is the disembodied mark.
I'm going to completely disagree with you. They do not just want the destruction of Israel, they want the eradication of Jews. This, when we say they are anti-Semitic,
I agree.
we mean they are anti-Semitic in the vein of Hitler. They want to eradicate Jews from the face of the earth. I mean, do you not get that? To everybody else, not you. I know you get it.
CJ just found your reference to the quote earlier. Let's do that. And then 888-565-1470. What do you think of Alan Bergstein's thesis that when the next war in Israel begins, whether it's from the north, the south, the east, the west, the top, the bottom, Israel's got to accept the doctrine of World War II, unconditional surrender? Mark.
Let's take this one step further. Do you remember reading articles about the Boone Party back in before World War II, where there was a big pro-Nazi movement?
The Bund Party.
B-U-N-D, right.
Yeah. Bund.
B-U-N-D.
Yeah.
In fact, they had thousands and thousands of people
in America.
In Madison Square Garden, where they were wearing
Newark, New Jersey.
Now, the interesting part, if you look at there's actually a classic image of the Boone Party in Madison Square Gardens with George Washington up there.
That's absurd.
It was absurd. But there was a very, very pro-Nazi sentiment before World War II, similar to what is happening over here. And this whole same sentiment, the Muslim Brotherhood over there is the same Muslim Brotherhood over here that's showing that same ideology of eradication, destruction, annihilation of the Jews.
All right, CJ, what did you find?
I just found some quotes of Barack Hussein Obama. What he said was, in his interview with Nicholas Kristof, was the call to Muslim prayer is, quote, one of the prettiest sounds on earth at sunset. And this is from Kristof's article on the subject. Mr. Obama recalled the opening lines of the Arabic call to prayer, reciting them with a first-rate accent. In a remark that seemed delightfully uncalculated, and then in parentheses, it'll give Alabama voters a heart attack. Mr. Obama described the call to prayer as one of the prettiest sounds on earth at sunset. And then Kristof goes on to write, has it really come to this, where the uninformed minorities and their leftist overlords are going to put this guy in the White House? It's just shocking to imagine this guy in power. And that was before the 2008 election. And we did it again in 2012.
Oy vey, oy vey.
But, so I call on my Jewish brethren. You know, I mean, this is my first line of defense. The Jewish people have to come out and educate themselves. I call on education. Educate yourselves into what we're heading for. If Israel goes, we Jews around the world are doomed. And remember, for you other people who are not Jewish, first the Saturday people, and then the Sunday people. Once the Jews are eradicated, the Christians, we're all infidels. We're in the same boat.
No, don't just. That's just not it. That isn't where the hierarchy stops. Is if you go read Sayyid Qutb, the ideological founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, he puts people in two phases. Either you're in Dar al-Islam or Dar al-Harb, the house of Islam or the house of war. The people who are in the house of war are large part are Muslims because they are not following the Sharia. If you're not 100% Sharia compliant, you're in the house of war with Islam. Because
you mean like in Egypt right now, where they're getting slaughtered?
That was the whole.
Yeah.
That was the whole reformation, if you will, of Islam under Qutb, and why the Muslim Brotherhood was founded. Because before you could be Muslim and be part of the Muslim Brotherhood.
What?
Qutb.
Yeah, but you could be part of Islam and be a Muslim and be part of the Muslim Brotherhood until Qutb came by. He says, no, you have to follow the Sharia. If you do not follow the Sharia and are a Muslim, then you're in the house of war of Islam. In fact, he labeled them as the #1 enemy of Islam. So if you're out there saying, I'm a Muslim, but you're not following Sharia, hey, you're an enemy of the state.
Well, Muslims have killed more Muslims worldwide over the years. We got somebody, we'll go to Rick, I think.
Rick in Boca.
Rick, you're with Tom and everybody else in here. How are you today?
Oh, hi. How are you? I want to respond to Alvin's article. I'm Jewish, and I agree in theory with what he says, but this is my question. If we follow through on his suggestion and demand only that a complete laying down of the weapons that'll be the only thing we accept, then what you're suggesting is that it's really going to be an all-out war, an invasion that's going to involve ultimately Iran and all the other Arab countries. How else do you get them to surrender without going in there with a ground attack and just going house by house and taking care of all of them? I'm interested to hear the response of that.
Okay. In the Middle East, in the third world, power is the most important item. If you're stronger than the next person, you win. This is reality. What Israel has to do is it has to go into Gaza militarily, and take out every weapon in there and neutralize Gaza. There is no other way for Israel to prolong its death, basically, is to sit down and negotiate and have peace. Israel has to go in now and say to the rest of the world, basically, screw you. We must do what's best for us.
Yeah, Alan. But Rick is saying.
I understand. But Iran will
everybody's going to jump in if something.
They're going to jump in. Once Iran gets the atom bomb, they're going to jump in anyway.
Yeah.
But you have to preempt. In 1967, there was a preemptive war, and the rest of the Muslim countries didn't enter into it. Israel has to take this opportunity. It's sink or swim. If they don't do this, they're doomed.
The world opinion will turn against Israel.
It is now.
That was a joke.
I mean, they won't like that.
Let Rick, yeah, what'd you say, Rick?
One thing that I agree with you guys, and especially with Alvin, which I have said all along, is we've never had the world's approval since the beginning of time. The world has been against the Jews. So what are we expecting the world to give an approval for in any situation? We're not going to get it.
You're arguing.
We have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves. I'm just concerned that if they would go into Gaza, then you're just going to have, as someone else said, everybody jumping in, and God knows what can happen.
You must take that chance. You know what? It's a calculated risk. Israel must do this because they have to. The first responsibility of any government is to protect its citizens and people. And Israel has to demilitarize Gaza because that's where the rockets are coming from. And if Egypt jumps in, so be it. They must do it. It's like surgery to remove a cancer. If you don't remove the cancer, you'll live a couple of months, but you'll eventually die.
I know what you're saying. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rick. Appreciate it.
Good question. Thank you for calling, Rick.
Okay.
No, I think I disagree a little bit with Alan.
Okay.
I think I disagree with you a little bit.
Okay to disagree here on Trento Vision at 36 minutes past the hour.
You can get rid of all the arms. You can get rid of all the Qassams. You can get rid of everything. But if the people are left and they have this underlying fundamental ideology that says, I'm going to kill you no matter what I have to do, then it doesn't matter if you took away their weapons, because you give them a year, 5 years, 10 years, or 100 generations. They're coming back after you. It's never, ever, ever going to stop. Ever.
Now the ideology is you cannot have as an ideology that you must kill somebody because they are Jewish. I mean, that is. I mean, is that such a hard concept to teach people? I guess so in the Gaza area, because that's what they believe. They only teach them that Israel exists on a map. You know, it's so permeated. I think the tour that we took, Tom, through the terrorist camp, where they actually showed what is being taught, what is being learned, and it's not just Islam. It is a pure genocidal hatred of Jews, a pure genocidal hatred of Israel, if you will. But you have to remove that. It's like, how do we deal with the KKK here in America? They had that same type of Jew hating, black hating mentality. We had to marginalize them. We had to make people aware who these people were, and then nobody becomes a natural ally of them. Even liberals today don't even want to associate with the KKK. So the real solution is, how do we get this ideology that's permeated in the Gaza Strip to be recognized as the KKK?
Okay, can I make a suggestion on that? The Jewish agencies, the Jewish community centers, the federations, have got to say what we're saying now, that the ideology of Islam is basically founded in the Quran, and it says kill infidels, Jews in particular. I want the Jewish agencies to come out and say, listen, this is what we're facing. We're not facing a group of people who might be considered not really Jew haters, so forth and so on. Let's face the facts. Let the Jewish agencies, the Anti-Defamation League, B'nai B'rith, Hadassah, let them come out and say to the Jewish people and to the American public, Islam wants to kill us. Let's fight them tooth and nail, education-wise. Let's educate the Jewish people so that you don't have J Street groups, you don't have Americans for Peace Now group, you don't have people who are appeasers, Jewish people who say, listen, give them a little bit and it'll end, don't worry about it. Educate the people as to what reality is. Reality in World War II was Pearl Harbor and the killing of 6.5 million Jews.
We have and here's another good point, that all we have to do is educate them in Western values and Western ways and get them to, and then they'll understand us once they understand us.
Disney, and...
Well, we had that with
Starbucks.
President Morsi over in University of Southern California, where he got his Ph.D., in one of the premier, most liberal lands in the world. Did it work? No, because, just before he got elected, he was saying, Islam is our... Quran is our constitution, jihad is our way, martyrdom in the sake of Allah is our highest of hopes. And he's still saying it, and what's he doing there?
Yeah, there's CJ, and then we'll kind of...
Okay, I love this man sitting next to me, and I think it's tragic that he's living in Twinkle City, because these Jewish agencies that you're talking about, they won't even admit it to themselves, let alone admit it to their members.
That's the issue right there, but I'll tell you in a second.
They're the guilty parties who are trying to, quote, build bridges of peace with the people who want to destroy us. And the reason why is because before they're Jews, they're leftist ideologues. And that is their worldview, and that is more important to them than being Jewish. It's more important to them to be Jewish leftist Democrats than it is to be Jewish. End of story. Until you change that, your people are never going to wake up. Your people, my people, are going to be dead.
At 41 minutes past the hour,
on that.
We got chew on that for a while. This is Tom Trento with CJ, who just shared her thoughts with everyone, and Alan Bergstein, our good friend, is our honored guest right now. We have disembodied voice, right? Disembodied Mark.
Maharishi?
Who?
Maharishi.
Maharishi. He's in the prone sutra position, and we have Invisible Mike. There's two other problems with the path to getting it right, getting the analysis right before you construct a solution.
Yeah.
One is psychological, one's economic. A lot of these groups, they raise zillions of dollars based upon peace. Okay? It's a lot easier, trust us, we know, to raise money to be peace partners and peace this and peace that, to say there ain't going to be any peace. It's security. It's easier to raise money if you have an organization that pushes peace, as fake as it may be, versus what we do, no peace, security, because that's the economic issue. So if they switch their dynamic, they're going to lose their funding tremendously. Another peace group will jump up, and the donors will just go to this, because the donors want peace. They don't want to think, how do I get peace? They want somebody to say, we'll get you peace, number one. Number two, it's a psychological issue. Once you move to the space we're in, where we say, there ain't no peace as long as you believe all the Muslim Brotherhood stuff,
right.
As long as Islam believes that killing Jews, killing people, Dar al-Harb, Dar Islam, the two worlds, is the requirement, de facto, to get to heaven. There's 1.3 billion of them. It ain't changing.
Okay.
It ain't changing in the long run. Can we stop it now and create a situation where there's the difficulty with that is those guys got the oil. They got the oil. They got the money to fund the bad guys and to keep the jihad going. Very, very difficult situation we're in here. And some people are saying, not just Christians, Jews and Muslims are saying, this is winding down to some apocalyptic moment where everything's just going to explode and be chaotic. And
we're going to build a bomb to start it.
Well, I was going to say, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is saying amen to that, and we're on our way.
That's the path to salvation.
God.
Realistically, on December 7th and December 8th, 1941, the United States wanted peace. The Allies wanted peace. Britain, the United States wanted peace. Did they get peace by negotiations? How did they get peace? By killing? By bombing? By killing innocent civilians? Until the Axis powers were subdued, and they begged for peace. Israel, unfortunately, has to take that that view that the only way we can win now, we've tried negotiations since September 13th, 1993 with the Oslo Accords. We had the Sharm el-Sheikh Accords, Oslo I, Oslo II. The only way we can get peace now is to subdue our enemy totally and physically at the same methodology we had in World War II. That's how we won World War II. Until we do that, we're doomed.
And we tried, and like you said, back in World War II. Once again, another parallel is that we had the appeasement strategy, the Chamberlain appeasement strategy. We gave away this, and gave away, oh, well, all right, he just took that piece of land, you know, and now until the day arises, until you wake up, you smell the coffee, and you realize what the heck is going on. They want to kill you.
Except for the difference is in World War II, you were dealing with societies that were largely Western.
Yes.
Okay? And they value life. When we're talking about the followers of
Japanese
Islam,
didn't, but that was different.
that was different. No, the people did, though.
Yeah.
The problem with the followers of Islam is that they worship death. And for them to all be killed for the sake of fighting for Allah, well, they know they're going to heaven for that.
Right, yeah.
You can't scare them by killing them at all. And you can't kill all of them. And that's what the problem is.
You know what the shame is? This conversation, which is a very open, hardcore conversation on the reality of the facts on the ground, this conversation is not allowed in this administration. When the Obama administration has to identify and understand the enemy, and at least, how do we know this? Because we have many of our friends have been briefing intelligence, military, and law enforcement within the administration, and in some of the exercises, some of the red team exercises, you sit in a room and you say, if then, let's go this scenario, that scenario, suppose these people really believe this stuff, can't even discuss to the degree we're discussing the threat index of Islam, can't even discuss this in the United States government anymore.
Our administration, Michael Gutmann is our ambassador to Belgium. Michael Gutmann is a Jewish boy. I don't know where he comes from, but if I could just think about it, he was probably terrible in stickball. Michael Gutmann is our ambassador to Belgium. He came out last year to a group of Jews in Europe saying that the cause of Islamic hatred for Jews, the cause is Israel's not making peace with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
What he did is he removed that stigma of Jew hating from Muslims, and he placed it on Jews themselves. In other words, the victims were the cause of the hating. It's tantamount to saying in 1942, Hitler saying,
I'm going to introduce you right now.
I am killing the Jews because they are causing their own destruction.
It's the rape mentality.
This is Michael Gutmann, who is a spokesperson for the administration. He doesn't think for himself.
One of the ways that we have made sense out of all of this in a simplistic manner, and we've written a book on it, Sharia, the Threat to America. We've taken the core threat element that's been identified by the West in Islam, which is the Sharia, and you heard Cynthia speak about it. Sharia, the Threat to America. I'm one of the authors with a whole bunch of other people. And we've said, how do we get a handle on this, and how could we fight this ideological battle? Well, you don't fight Islam per se. You fight a component of Islam, and Zuhdi Jasser, who many of us agree or disagree with, he labels it political Islam. Take the political section out. Well, he still maintains a little bit of personal Sharia. But if you identify Sharia as the threat to America, you could respect the religion of Islam, though in many respects it ought not be.
Prayers,
yeah,
right?
well, the prayers. I mean, there's a whole lot of other problems. But I'm talking about from an international security element. You take Sharia, and then you say, okay, this is bad. Let's establish, at least in the West, no Sharia Islam. What's the big deal? You have to follow our constitutions. So what is this thing, Sharia? What is my Sharia? What is Sharia all about? Well, we have a new segment, Alan Bergstein, here on Trento Vision. And we highlight a little bit of Sharia each hour. And we have a little intro to this. You can listen to it at home. You can watch it on your computers. And here's our intro, and then Mark will pick it up.
Take a second. Are you showing?
light.
Yeah, no, I'm just spinning right now.
It's frozen.
My Sharia, never gonna stop or give it up. Killing infidels, always got it planned. Underhand, give a lot of yell. Whoa! My Sharia. My Sharia. My Sharia.
There's two people, for those of you just listening, there are two people featured in our little Sharia bumper here. One, you hear in the background somebody yelling, "My Sharia! My Sharia!" Well, that happens to be who?
President Morsi.
That's the president of Egypt, Mohammed Morsi,
Calling for Sharia.
And you had James Clapper in there.
And then the second person we put in, Mark edited this, is James Clapper, the head of the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. That's the new organization that all the intelligence agencies, about 20 of them, are under him. He's the top dog.
Are you crediting the dancing girl for our viewing audience?
And James Clapper has gone on record as an official of the Obama administration as saying the Muslim Brotherhood is a secular organization. It eschews, it hates violence. It's given up on violence.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Nothing to see here.
But that little cute little thing just leads to a little statement about Sharia that we read every day from the Sharia Handbook, Reliance on the Traveler. Mark, what do you have for us today?
And this is from certified and stamped by the president of the International Institute of Islamic Thought and the president of the Fiqh Council of North America. They say...
Whoa. Who else that we spoke about earlier in Egypt? What university?
Al-Azhar. Also, certified copy stamped this book as the... Here, let me read that little
Cynthia, go ahead, yes. Cynthia, who told us Al-Azhar, the big university that's going to determine the interpretation of the Sharia for Egypt, has said this book is the rule book for Muslims.
That is 100% correct, and this is the authoritative source for all English speakers.
Okay. What do you got for us today?
In the Book O' Justice, 080, Apostasy from Islam, which is called RIDDA, R-I-D-D-A, it says, when a person who has reached puberty and is sane voluntarily apostatizes, that means leaves Islam, from Islam, he deserves to be killed.
Wait. When a person reaches puberty, what is puberty?
You know.
13. When he's bar mitzvah.
Yeah. When a person is bar mitzvah.
Get him! He's bar mitzvah! Get him now! You know, there's a Jew hiding behind that bar mitzvah plant.
So when a person,
read it over again.
All right. So when a person apostasy from Islam.
When a person is bar mitzvah.
When a person who has reached puberty, aka bar mitzvah, and is sane voluntarily apostatizes from Islam, he deserves to be killed. Now, hold on, it does continue on here.
It really says he deserves to be killed?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So if you're 13 or 14 years old, or 20 years old, reaches is the bottom bar. You're going to be 30, 40, you go, I changed my mind. I want to be nothing. I want to be an atheist. He deserves to be
killed.
Okay, we got that straight. That's pretty clear.
Okay, and just to make this perfectly clear.
Wait, let me put this in a Christian context. When a Christian reaches puberty and he decides to leave Christianity, you can kill him, pastors. Okay.
Okay.
Who does the killing?
That's another long explanation, but there is
that. We got about 1 or 2 minutes.
All right, there is no indemnity or no penalty, no guilt or anything like that for killing an apostate, since it is killing someone who deserves to die.
That's what the words say. You're not editorial.
No, there is no indemnity for killing an apostate, since it is killing someone who deserves to die. Now, real quickly.
But isn't that just a cultural?
Real quickly. Here's acts that entail leaving Islam. They have a whole list of these, but I'm going to read
say it again.
Acts that entail leaving Islam. So it's not just...
they tell what it really means.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but I'll just give you the highlights of them.
And you're reading out of the Islamic law book.
Law book.
Okay.
To deny the existence of Allah, His beginness and so don't believe in Allah. To be sarcastic about Allah's name is actually leaving Islam. You deserve to be killed. to deny any verse of the Quran anything with which it by scholarly consensus. To mockingly say,
To
I don't know
deny
what
any verse?
deny any verse.
Oh my word.
To mockingly say, I do not know what faith is. That's leaving Islam. To reply to someone who says, there is no power or strength to save through Allah. You were saying there is no power or strength with Allah. There's a whole list of them. I mean, it's not just you have to say, I'm going to be a Christian
And our
or
president,
an atheist.
we're going to have to pick this up in the next hour because we want to dive into what you said.
To be sarcastic about any ruling of the Islamic sacred law, Sharia.
Okay, I want to start Sharia in Pasadena the next hour. We're going to take a break in a few seconds here. We want everybody to stay tuned. We went Sharia in Egypt, Sharia in Gaza, because the Sharia makes them want to fight, and you're talking about unconditional surrender. We're going to go Sharia in Gaza. We're going to read that again. We're going to introduce our Sharia segment again. We're going to read apostasy, because this makes no sense unless you buy into one fundamental point of Islam. We'll tell you what that is when we get back.
iHeartRadio gives you the music you want wherever you go. For example, let's